You're recording.
I did, sir.
Thank you. It is 6 o'clock. We have a quorum. I call the Planning Commission meeting to order. First order of business, I'd like to call upon Commissioner Banks to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. Next item, approval of minutes from the previous meeting. Does any commissioner have comments or questions about the previous minutes? Not hearing any, do I hear a motion for approval? Thank you. And a second?
I second.
And any further discussion? Hearing none, and this is a while, we have everyone here. By show of hands, all in favor? Passes unanimously. Thank you. Okay, matters of discussion and review. We have two items to cover tonight. First is the Town of La Plata 2022 Annual Report. And there's a number of documents enclosed. I would go to Director Harrington to lead us in that discussion.
Good evening, Planning Commission members. For the record, Janine Harrington, Director of Planning for the town. So yes, we did complete the 2022 annual report, which is required by the state of Maryland in accordance with the land use article to be submitted before or on July 1st of each year. So I have put together, I won't go through everything in detail. I do have one thing I'll note as well. I missed a date, entering a date. But we have our table of contents. So I go through the agenda items for the mayor and council, as well as our boards and commissions, including the Planning Commission, Board of Appeals, and Design Review Board. Anything relating to the mayor and council is really planning related, so it's not everything that was on their agenda. It was just if it had to do with a master site development plan and annexation, code revisions, those types of things, those were included in the report. We have our plan, implementation, and development process section, where I just kind of provide an update over the growth that we experienced during 2022, the annexations that we approved, and some of our initiatives, including Keep La Plata Beautiful, our Sustainable Communities Program application. And that is the one edit that I will note that I missed putting in the date. The first line under Sustainable Communities Program, it says the town submitted an application to renew our Sustainable Communities designation on period. And I didn't put the date that we submitted it. So I just need to add that date for that section. We talk about some of our urban tree canopy assessment initiatives, transportation initiatives, some of the adopted code amendments during 2022, proposed code amendments, just some overview of our geographic information system, our technical review team, and proposed process improvements. We then have our section on permits that were issued during 2022 and the school seat allocations that were issued during the calendar year for 2022. And then as attachments, there's the 2022 annual report long form, which is required if you have issued more than 50 residential new construction building permits, which we did. We issued 97. So that's been completed. There are 3 sections that were not applicable for the town for various reasons, and those have been removed from the long report or long form. And that's the APFO because we're currently working on it. We don't have one adopted at this point in time. The agricultural section is only for counties. And there's a section for development capacity analysis, which if you've done a comprehensive plan update from 2020 to 2022, it's not required. So we will need to do one most likely next year, but we'll try to plan ahead for that. Appendix A is the calendar year 2022 permit data by month. And Appendix B is the calendar year 2022 school seat allocations by subdivision, and how many that we issued. With that, I'll ask if there's any questions or if there was any noted errors, comments for the report.
I propose that I just quickly go through each of the pages. It's not a very long report. And then ask any commissioners if they have any questions or comments.
I do have one comment. Looking at the permit, it says Appendix B.
Oh, I need to change the title of that.
Okay.
Is that your question?
I looked at it already. So didn't have any questions. It was pretty straightforward. Did
Okay.
add a few dates. Go ahead.
Chairman, may I ask a question? Just out of curiosity, I'm just curious, is the permit appendix, is that a result of the new software? Is this?
No.
So this is something separate?
This is something that I had to manually do in Excel,
Okay.
Mm.
which is why it took me a little bit longer.
Do you anticipate the software being able to do this in the
Yes.
future? Okay.
Maybe I won't need to go page by page. I do have a few comments, but before I speak, Commissioner Sampson, do you have any questions or comments about the report? No, that's fine. Councilman Evelyn Bryant?
I do not. I did look over, I did spot check some dates just to, make sure that everything, was okay. And then this is excellent.
Commissioner Banks, do you have any further? So if you could go to page 9. of the report. It's just a clarification. It says June 8th and then June 16th. The same two projects appear in both of those. And in June 8th, they talk about continued and continued. Were the continued words intended to be for the June 16th meeting?
Correct.
Okay. On page 15. Oh, I wasn't clear on my comment. There's a section in here. Oh, Charles Street improvements. Did this process begin in 2022?
Yes.
Okay, so that's why it can be okay to be in this report.
Mhm.
All right,
That's when the grant was awarded.
okay. And then when you talked about the permits on 17, page 17, I don't think it's required to be in a report, but can you offer any comparison to previous year or years?
Off the top of my head, I don't have those numbers directly in my mind. Last year, I know we had issued 102 new residential dwelling, or permits. And it was just slightly less for the total than it was last year. And for the residential developments, that's due to some of the, like Steeplechase, we finished out building permits for the phase 2, section 2, part 3 and part 4. So a lot of it kind of ebbs and flows with some of the developments that we have and the number of permits that we issue each year. We saw a little bit more,
So you've given me a sense opposite of what I thought. I thought we were growing faster, but
so
it's about,
it's
it's
about
not
the
really
same.
major.
So with the approval processes that we have in place, when we're looking at the capacity reports that I did for water and sewer, it's all projected. So
Right.
if you take in the worst case scenario, which is what we're trying to do, it does appear that it could have a steep incline in growth if Stagecoach came forward with their final plats. We did just record 3 final plats: Agricopia Section 7A, Mallard's Crossing, it was the Mallard's Pond, and Pine Grove Neighborhood O. Pine Grove is moving forward with their Neighborhood A, the first section of Neighborhood Q, which will have their multifamily. So there is the potential to see an increase over the next few years. But again, as the economy and the market goes up and down, sometimes it ebbs and flows a little bit.
Okay, thank you. So does any commissioner have any questions or comments further about the report or the appendices? Okay, and I don't think this is a voting action. It's just a matter of providing you feedback so that we can go to the next step.
You sign the cover letter
Mhm.
and then we email it off to the state.
Okay, and when would you like me to sign it?
We can sign it tonight if you.
Okay, I can do that. Unless there's any objection from any of the commissioners.
I don't have an objection. I'm going back to the software question. I noticed on the annual report worksheet in section 2E, where it asked, did the jurisdiction recommend any improvements? And you referenced us back to the process improvement section, and you pointed out the software. However, I mean, I'm assuming just because you have initiated the effort to put the software in place, it doesn't have to necessarily be implemented or operable at this point in
Correct.
2022. Okay,
Correct.
that was my only clarification. Thank you.
Okay. Anything else before we move on to PC rules and procedure?
No, I just would like to commend Director Harrington because I think this is probably my 4th year seeing this annual report and the data that you have to compile manually, you pull it together and vetting that information. I just think it's phenomenal, what you're able to accomplish.
Who does?
Absolutely.
Made my eyes cross a few times.
I'm sure it did. Made mine cross.
Okay, draft PC rules and procedures. Back to you, Director Harrington.
So this is a very rough draft. I wanted to get this before the planning commission. I know we've been talking about it for a while, and I hadn't had a lot of time to really sit down and go through it in detail to provide additional edits. I received a few comments from the Maryland Department of Planning. They agreed to kind of do a preliminary review and provided some commentary, and then I did send it to the town attorney and got some additional commentary. So I'm not expecting us to go through this in detail tonight. My purpose was to at least get this to you and give you time to be able to go through it, digest it, see if there's things in here that I'm missing or that we need to, change it all. We can always bring this back in July to kind of go through in detail, but I wanted to make sure that you at least got the rough draft to start reviewing and looking through it.
Do you have kind of a self-imposed date when you would like to have this
No.
official?
We obviously we have the chapter 40 in the town code that lays out the law of the planning commission.
Mm-hmm.
This is more just to kind of have something to go off of for meeting, procedures, different meeting schedules. If we wanted to change any of the procedures, how we do things, have things set. I know that there's been questions about how long people can speak at a public hearing, quorums, how we're doing these hybrid meetings, being in person versus being online, and how we want to handle those types of things. So it's really just kind of breaking down a little bit further from what the code has. And it allows us to have more flexibility in amending this in the future than it would be with amending a chapter of code.
Right.
So
So do I hear any questions or comments from the commissioners upon the review so far?
Chairman Gann,
Yes.
Councilwoman Bryant Ward, I did look over this and did a great job. Still have some concerns looking back through the code. So when we implement this, we vote to put this into practice.
Mhm.
Does the code supersedes this document?
yes.
Okay. Thank you.
That's all. Is that comment?
That was it.
Commissioner Sampson, you have anything to add?
No, Councilwoman Brown Ward already asked the question I had.
About Commissioner Banks, you have anything?
So I did spend a little time on this document, and I have some little flags. So what's the best way for me to get these comments to you? I can send them via email to everyone
Email.
so that people can see them.
I was gonna say email would be great, because what we can do is we can bring this back in July. And what I do is I'd probably, you can always send me your comments or if you have questions in the meantime, but I would gather all your comments, review the document. I'm still going to go back and read through this just to see what I need to look at as well. And then we can come back together and go through everyone's comments and kind of review it holistically in July. That way you have enough time to really go through it and
Okay.
provide some.
I wonder, is there a way that we could create sort of a collaboration space where we can see each other's comments and make comments on a single document?
Potentially, I think I'd need to get
And so you have like
legal input on that because there's the rules of open meeting. So that may not be feasible to do without it being open to the public.
And that's correct, because we're making a decision on a document and we would be making it in, collaboration in private. Whereas we're coming here together, discussing it openly. I don't think that we can have like a smart sheet where we're making amendments and going back and forth together. That constitutes a conversation.
So that does prompt a couple comments I'll bring up now. Has this document or will it be reviewed by the town attorney?
Yes.
Okay. And there is one particular comment, this is just based on experience that I'm aware of and you might remember. This section on page 3, section 5, number 4, where it talks about recusal.
Yes.
I would like the words, if possible, to be in there that the recusal statement should occur before the issue is being discussed.
Mhm.
We have had instances in the past where we begin the discussion and midway through, the person who chose to recuse him or herself had already provided some influence to others and then recused. And I think if a person is to recuse him or herself, they should be totally out of that discussion. So I understand we had the homework to do to spend a little more time reviewing this in detail, provide comments to you and an email,
That would be
and
great.
and then we'll revisit this in July.
Yeah. And then we can go through, like I said, I can implement, if there's like minor changes, I can always implement those and re-upload them. And if there's stuff that we need to talk about more in depth, I can kind of add everyone's comments to a document and we can pull that up so everyone can see who's
Right.
writing what.
Great. Okay, anything else on section 3.2, PC rules and procedures? Not hearing anything. Matters of information, planning department, Director Harrington.
I have too many things. I don't even think I've uploaded a PowerPoint.
Well, if you allow me to back up, to echo what Councilman Bryant Ward said, I don't know how you fit this in with the annual report too. So
It's been challenging. I'll use the words of the Director Stahl. Bottom line is it's been challenging. But we're currently in the search for a senior planner. So we have posted that position. We've had we had one interview, the other one canceled, and then we have another interview lined up. So hopefully we'll get a senior planner in sooner rather than later. But it has been a lot. And we've got my planning technician, Debbie. She's been holding down permits. She's been doing a fantastic job. And we've got Mitchell and Aaron on code enforcement, handling everything on that end. So it's definitely a team effort. I've been running to Director Phipps quite often. Can you double check me? Can you read this? Am I doing this right? So like I said, it's nothing but the staff that you have around you. They're a huge help. But just I have the MML conference is coming up at the end of June. Not sure if anyone is planning on attending. Maryland Municipal League.
Yeah, you going?
Yes, I am speaking. I am presenting with the Maryland Department of Planning on Monday at 2:15.
I wasn't going to attend that session, but I think I will now.
Monday at 2:15. What is an annexation, or why do you want to annex, or something along those lines? We're talking about annexations. So I'm currently preparing a presentation to share with him. Someone from the county will be present as well to talk about how we are hoping to work better together in the future on annexations and how reviews happen, how our comprehensive plan ties into annexations. So yeah, if you want to see me on Monday at 2:15, I'll be there with Joe Griffiths and Joel Binkley with the county. We have quite a few, like I said, development is still proceeding forward with Pine Grove. We have quite a few reviews going on with them for neighborhood A, neighborhood Q. I've been made aware of a forest bill, and I can't remember the number of it now, but there was a state forestry bill that was passed that may lead to changes to the town code. Even though we just updated it in 2020, we may need to make some further amendments. They're going to be updating the technical manual for the state, so that may have some challenges as well that we're going to have to take a look at. That ties in with our urban canopy assessment that was on the May 16th town council agenda. So all of that information is out for everyone to review, and it gives us some policies and guidelines for how to maintain urban tree canopy throughout the town, even with the development that we have occurring. We have the adequate public facilities ordinance is still under review. That's with the town attorney currently. It keeps getting booted because like I said, we're really trying to make sure that we look at this holistically and not just skip corners. We want to make sure that it's a good product to present to the boards, commissions, and town council. So I currently have the town attorney reviewing that. Next month at the July meeting, we will have a special exception recommendation coming before the Planning Commission that will go to the Board of Appeals in July for a senior living community off of Harford Street. So that'll be coming forward. Trying to think of everything I have on my whiteboard that I'm writing every day. Keep everything updated and where it needs to be. And other than that, we are working through the new software system. We are in phase 3 for Municity 5. So we're in the development phase. So we're having weekly meetings, 2-hour weekly meetings with their software team to make sure that we're putting in all the different permit types that we need, all the different plan types that we need, what the tasks are, what the fees are, how everything's going to connect in the system. And then we'll move into phase 4 and then finally training and hopefully have the software up and running by the end of the year. We will have a few months of testing and making sure that all the bugs are fixed. And then there will be an open data portal for the public to be able to actually apply and submit through the portal in the town's website. So that way we don't have to keep doing the emails and losing track of who's doing what. So we are moving forward with that. And hopefully, like I said, by the end of the year, we should have that functional. And that's all I can think of at the moment. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Thank you.
Do you have a question?
I do, Chairman Gann. Thank you so much, Councilwoman Bryant Ward again. How are the comments going with Pine Grove? There were a little hoopla about the aesthetics of the homes. Are you still hearing?
Yeah, there's plenty of back and forth. We've had received comments on forest conservation. I think anytime that you have a new development going into where you have existing homes that have been there for quite a while, there's going to be some upset. The particular that you're speaking of with the construction of the homes, there was a Facebook post about the types of materials used in construction. And we have, I actually added a article to the newsletter explaining that everything that they are building and the ways that they are building the homes in Pine Grove are in accordance with the 2018 International Building Code. They have different types of pre-manufactured joists and stairs and things that they use that there can be issues with fire departments and knowing how to get in and out of the house in the event of a fire, because the materials, when they're prefabricated the way that they are, if you have a fire, the initial, obviously your smoke alarms are your first defense to get out of the house. And the fire department needs to be aware of the types of construction that they're going into. So I have been having open communication with the fire department, telling them and showing them the plans, making sure that they're included in reviews. So it's knowledge for them that if they are going into these homes, if it's on fire and then the sprinkler system kicks on, those materials can become waterlogged and they can fail faster if it's under the right conditions. So it's something that they need to be aware of in cases of emergencies. So we are working with them, but I wanted to make sure that everyone knew that it is being constructed in compliance with the building codes. It is being inspected appropriately with plan check. So it's just a matter of the fire department being aware of how the houses are being constructed.
Thank you.
I was not able to attend the Maryland Department of Transportation meeting on safety on Route 6. Anything to add about how that meeting went and follow up?
So it went very well. We actually had, I think it was close to 50 people attend, which is pretty good for having a town event. What they did was they had posters and they did a little presentation. They allowed for people to provide comments or put dot stickers on which option they liked the best. So they are currently going back through and tallying up all of those comments, looking at the different feedback that they got from the public. And they will be updating their website that they have out for the specific project with their the project details. They're still working on that as far as I'm aware. We received an update yesterday that they're still putting that together. But as soon as that is available, we will be posting that link to the town's website as well and posting that out on social media.
Okay. Any other questions or comments for Director Harrington? Thank you. Council update, Councilwoman Bryant Ward.
Well, thank you very much, Chairman Gann. So I think the most important thing that we, as a council, is working on with the town staff is updating the retirement plan for the entire town staff, paying particular interest to the police department because of the nature of the job and the length of time it takes them to retire. So we've been really looking at that, and now it's back in the town staff hands, and we trust that they're going to come up with a really good product for all of our employees. That's basically it.
That's it?
Mm-hmm.
Any questions for Councilman Bryant Ward? Is there anything else to be brought up for the good of the commission? Not hearing anything. It is 6:26. I adjourn the meeting. Thank you all very much.
Thank you.